Have you ever wondered about the one thing that connects every single living organism on this planet? It's reproduction. It's the incredible process that explains how life, from a tiny bacterium all the way up to you and me, keeps on going. So let's dive right in.
Let's start with a question that's all about you. Think about it. Why aren't you a perfect clone of either of your parents? You have bits of both, sure, but you're totally unique. The answer to that question is really the whole story we're going to talk about today.
So what are we really talking about? Well, at its most basic level, reproduction is just the process life uses to make more of itself, to keep the species going. An individual doesn't need to reproduce to survive, unlike breathing or eating, but a species absolutely has to, or it would just blink out of existence.
But here's the secret sauce. Reproduction isn't just about making perfect copies. When that DNA gets passed on, little changes can happen. We call these variations, and that's the key to why you're not a clone. This genetic shuffling is the engine of evolution. It's what allows a species to adapt and survive when the world around it changes.
Okay, so how does life actually pull this off? Well, it's really boiled down to two major strategies. And it all comes down to a simple question. Do you go it alone or do you need a partner?
And right here, you can see the fundamental trade-off. Asexual reproduction with just one parent is super fast and efficient. It creates a perfect clone. The big downside? Almost zero genetic variety. Sexual reproduction is the total opposite. It takes way more time and energy, but the payoff is enormous. Every single offspring is genetically unique. That diversity is a massive advantage for surviving in the long run.
And asexual reproduction isn't just one thing. It's got all these different tricks up its sleeve. Some organisms, like amoebas, just split right down the middle. Others, like a hydra, will literally grow a tiny new version of themselves off their side. That's called budding. And if you've ever taken a cutting from a plant and watched it grow into a new one, you've seen vegetative propagation. But no matter the method, the result is always a clone.
All right, now let's get into the strategy that created the incredible, stunning diversity of life we see all around us: sexual reproduction. It's definitely more complicated, but wow, the results are just game-changing. So sexual reproduction had to solve this really big math problem. Think about it. If two parents just smashed all their DNA together, their kids would have double the amount, and their grandkids would have quadruple, and so on. It would be chaos. The solution is so elegant. Specialized cells called gametes, you know them as sperm and eggs, each one carries exactly half of a parent's genetic code. Problem solved. And this all leads up to the main event, fertilization. You can think of it like a three-step dance that happens all across nature. Step 1, the gametes are made. Step 2, they find each other and fuse. And that fusion creates step 3, a brand new single cell called a zygote. And this zygote has a complete and totally one-of-a-kind set of DNA.
Okay, let's bring all this theory down to earth and talk about us. How does this whole amazing process play out in the human body?
So in humans, we have two very different kinds of gametes, and they are perfectly designed for their jobs. The male gamete, the sperm, is tiny, built for speed, and produced by the millions. Its whole purpose is to travel. The female gamete, the egg, is huge in comparison. It can't move on its own, and it's packed with nutrients. Its job is to be the destination and provide all the resources for a new life to start. It's a perfect case of design fitting the function.
And the journey itself is just incredible. It's a microscopic epic. An egg is released from an ovary and travels into the fallopian tube. Meanwhile, millions of sperm start a marathon race. Only a tiny fraction even make it to the egg, and out of all of them, only one gets to fertilize it. Once that happens, the brand new embryo makes its way to the uterus, where it snuggles in and starts to grow.
And the body doesn't just leave this to chance. The uterus gets ready for this potential arrival every single month. It builds up this thick, cozy, nutrient-rich lining. It's basically preparing a nursery, just in case.
Which, of course, brings up the obvious question, right? This whole elaborate preparation happens every month, but fertilization and pregnancy, they don't. So what happens to that beautifully prepared nursery when no one moves in?
Well, that's the menstrual cycle. If fertilization doesn't happen, the body gets the message that the thickened lining isn't needed this time around. So it's broken down and shed from the body. Then the whole process starts over again. This amazing cycle of preparing, waiting, and renewing, month after month.
Look, understanding all of this biology isn't just a science lesson. It has profound, real-world implications for our lives. And that brings us to the super important topic of reproductive health and the power that all this knowledge gives us to make choices for ourselves. And it's so important to realize that reproductive health means more than just being free from disease. The World Health Organization defines it as a total state of well-being. That's physical, mental, and social. It's about having the safety, the satisfaction, and the freedom to decide if, when, and how you want to have children.
And a huge part of that freedom comes from contraception, the different tools and methods people can use to prevent pregnancy. These range from barrier methods like condoms to hormonal methods that affect ovulation, all the way to long-term options like IUDs or even permanent surgical procedures.
So at the end of the day, why does this all matter so much? Because understanding how this works is empowering. It gives you the knowledge to make smart decisions about your own health, to plan your life, and to protect yourself from disease. And hey, beyond all that, it gives you a real appreciation for just how complex and incredible life really is.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Biology handed us this incredible, intricate process, but it's our knowledge of that process, how it works, what it means, and how we can guide it, that truly gives us power over our own lives and our own futures. Thanks so much for tuning in.